Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the 5th Indiana Jones movie that we have gotten in recorded history. This one just came out this weekend. It's directed by James Mangold, and it takes place, well, okay, the movie doesn't take place, but this movie basically is coming out 15 years after the last Indiana Jones movie. So the actual movie takes place in the late 60s, and it follows Indiana Jones teaming up with his long-lost goddaughter to hunt down this ancient relic that can literally change the fabric of time and history as we know it. And as you would expect, there are Nazis in his way, or in this case, Mads Mikkelsen is playing a Nazi who is not a Nazi anymore, but he's still a Nazi. Let's be honest, once you go hail, you never bail. That's once you're a Nazi, you're always a Nazi, right? So anyway, Indiana Jones and his goddaughter have to go up against this group of Nazis who are hunting for this relic as well. And there you go, you have a movie called The Dial of Destiny, and let's talk about it. Well, I have some mixed thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I liked some things about it, I didn't like some things about it. Overall, it's entertaining, but not a movie that I rush back to watch. When it comes to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I couldn't get myself to be excited, but I also wasn't thinking like, oh, it's gonna be terrible, it's gonna be dog shit or whatever. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in my experience, when you can't get it up for a movie, why the fuck did I say it like that? And I didn't mean it like that. I should edit that out. Now I'm gonna leave it in. Look, the point is, when you can't get excited for a movie, it's best to go into the movie and not have a lot of anticipation one way or the other. How did that work out? Well, I mean, you know, there's some good things about the movie for sure. For starters, Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. And what I mean by that is Harrison Ford is committed in this movie. Like, he's not sleepwalking, he's not going through the motions. He definitely cares about this character, definitely wanted to give this character the proper send-off that Indiana Jones deserves. They do some weird things with Indiana Jones and his character in this movie where he's really kind of a depressed, bitchy old man in this movie. He's got like an alcohol thing going on. They do explain why in the movie. Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays his goddaughter in this movie. She brought like this manic energy to a lot of scenes, and I thought that that was entertaining, at least for a while. Mads Mikkelsen is probably my favorite thing about the movie. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen is Mads Mikkelsen, just like Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford. These are all-time great actors here. I like the fact that he's a villain that's kind of like a nerd, like he's kind of a dork. He's obsessed with math and numbers and stuff like that. He's not like this overbearing, menacing villain, but he is like really cold and ruthless and stuff, so it's a nice balance that they have here. The first 20 minutes of the movie was really exciting stuff. If you are a big Indiana Jones fan, the first 20 minutes or so of this movie, vintage Indiana Jones shit. Third act of this movie is batshit. Like, they go completely off the wall. It doesn't always work. There are some things that I could probably take issue with, but for the most part, I was just on the edge of my seat. I was entertained as hell. Try to swing for the fences in the biggest and best ways possible, and it just leads to this crazy, insane, wild ending that you have to see to believe. Also, the score was really good in this movie. John Williams, of course, one of the greatest composers of all time, has composed with Indiana Jones one of the greatest scores of all time. I feel like we say that for every John Williams movie though. Like, have you ever seen a John Williams scored movie where the score wasn't a banger? So I praised the beginning of the movie and I praised the end of the movie, and then there's like 110 minutes or so in the middle of unbridled meh. One of the things I didn't like about this movie is Indy and his relationship with his goddaughter. I just feel like it was poorly written, poorly developed, and ultimately where we ended up does not feel earned. The relationship doesn't really feel like something that two people can build on throughout the movie. Like, most of the movie, they're just bitching at each other, or they're discovering clues, or they're trying to like one-up each other in some way. There's really not that emotional payoff. There's really not that great sense of, oh, well, we came through the fire together and we grew together. Weird thing is, the movie treats it like you did. Like, at the end, certain characters' motivations change, but then it's kind of like when you look at how they act for the like 80% of the rest of the movie, it's like, nah, I'm not really buying it. I'm not really believing it. So everything about their relationship falls flat. But to be honest, a lot of this could also be chalked up to the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, while she's giving a good performance, the character of Helena that she's playing in this movie is just irritating as hell. She's really just this fast-talking, annoying, arrogant sleazebag. Sleazebag is like a nice word for what she is in this movie. Like, she just doesn't have a lot of redeemable qualities. She's not very likable, and that like never changes throughout the runtime. Feels weird to say, but it just feels like there are parts of this movie where the energy was lacking, and for an Indiana Jones movie, that should never happen. It should always have that spark, that charm, that high-level swashbuckling adventure type of energy. This movie was just lacking that in certain spots, and part of it is the characters, part of it is the story, which, I'll be honest, honest, you've kind of seen every Indiana Jones story at this point. But a lot of times in other Indiana Jones movies, they have a way to make the story feel more personal to the characters, make it feel like it's something that reflects on real life or reflects on their lives in some way. This movie, you just don't have that kind of connection between the characters and the story. I mean, it has something to do with their lives, but you guys know what I mean. It doesn't really generate that kind of personal connection or whatever that you think it would when you're going through something like this. The action scenes are entertaining for what they are, but they over-rely heavily on a lot of CGI and green screen. I know that some of this is because Harrison Ford is old and he can't do the shit anymore, and so you have to have CGI body doubles and stuff like that, and I get it, like I understand it, but maybe that's an argument that they probably should have ended this at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It just loses that authenticity. It loses that gritty feeling of things actually being in camera and being filmed, things that feel real, environments that feel real. I'll also say, without spoilers, that in movies like these, usually it helps to have rules set up, and then you can kind of bend and tweak those rules a little bit. But you can't break those rules, and in this movie, I feel like with the rules that they tried to establish, things start going off the rail, and not all of it works, and I just had questions, and not the good type of questions. But I didn't like the characters and the dynamics between them. I don't feel that emotional connection to the story that I really wanted to. The movie suffers from pacing issues, a lack of energy. It feels very lackluster, very by the numbers in some parts. Honestly, I just walked away going, it was just kind of all right. It was just all right. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was okay, but it could have been better. I'm gonna leave this one in the Fortress of Solitude. Tell me, have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what's your favorite Indiana Jones movie of all time? Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.